I didn't like at all what God did, described in Numbers 16, 15, 16, 17. And so in my devotional readings, my journal has been getting a real workout. If you read those stories, you'll see it's God applying discipline. A guy goes out and collects a few sticks on the Sabbath. So boom, God says, no, you stone him to death. And then Korah and Dathan and Abiram rebel against Moses' leadership and the fact that Moses is the leader and Aaron's going to be a priest. And so they rebel against it. So God says, oh, is that so? I tell you what, separate away from these guys' tents. And they're left standing there, the fathers, their children, and the little ones, it says, the grandkids. And the earth opens up, an earthquake, and swallows them and squishes them to death. And then God sends a fire down, and those that wanted to be priests and usurp Aaron's role are burned to death, and they take the censers and hammer a covering of the temple furniture with it. And I'm like, Lord, what is with killing the little ones? That just seems harsh. Collect sticks, stone them to death. It's one thing for a grandfather to sin, but you're going to take out the grandkids as well as the kids. And I just trying to work that out. Who is this God that he's wiping out the kids, the nursery departments of the people, of the family? I find myself thinking that the earthquake just happened and the leadership interpreted the event that way. But the text is clear. God commanded it. God made the earthquake happen. God commanded them to stone these people to death. It's interesting that back then they had trouble with this as well. Because they didn't stone this guy right away. They leave him aside and say, Moses, this guy did it. What are we going to do? It seems a little harsh to stone him to death for breaking the Sabbath. And then when the people are burned to death and the earthquake happens, the people rebel. And today's reading, the people rebel. And so God says, okay, Moses, get away from them. They're complaining about what just happened. The old leadership, these people being killed, I'm going to wipe them out. Stand away, I'm going to start over. But Moses and Aaron interceded. So I was trying to work this all through because I don't like it. I don't like it. But today's journal, I'm still trying to work through yesterday's passage, Lord. The lesson remains that you are a fierce and a holy God. And I kind of like the image of an indulgent grandfather, that with the kids mess, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Give them a break. But you're not that. You come today then to this whole passage, you say, get away from the Moses because I'm going to put an end to the people at once. But Moses and Aaron interceded, and you tell them how to make atonement for the people, and so people are rescued. And then I was so worked up yesterday, I was doing some research on the whole thing of the death of Korah and Dathan and Abiram, and they point out that the guy gathering sticks, that's in the context of God saying, hey, when the community sins inadvertently, when they mess up and they don't realize, and then they realize, here's the sacrifice, and then there's this story in the midst of this guy collecting sticks on the Sabbath. And what it's doing is making a contrast, saying, this was not an inadvertent sin. This is a man saying, God, I reject your law, I reject your authority, and I reject your promise of provision. I'm going to do my own thing. And it's that rebellion, that willful rebellion that God is wiping out of Israel, so that the people learn. And then in terms of these other guys in their family, Dathan and Abiram, the passage talks about how Moses gives them a chance. He says, hey, you guys come on up here. Let's work this out. Let's talk about this. But they refuse to come. If you go in, the Jews wrestled with the same stuff. We've all got the same questions. The Jews wrestled with this. And if you read the Mishnah and some of the Jewish thinking about that, it has stories about how Moses went to the tents and tried to appeal to these guys again. But there's this stubborn refusal. This stubborn refusal. You are holy and awesome. You're not an indulgent grandfather, but you are merciful, providing a way out for our rebellion. And for that I'm thankful. But I still don't like that you killed the little ones. And I was reminded of Brian Dirkson's song, which I really don't like that much. It's a bit gentle stuff for me or whatever, but the chorus, in wrath, remember mercy. God is not an indulgent grandfather. He is holy and Lord, but he is merciful and will, for the most part, provide a way out. But sadly, sometimes it's collateral damage to our choices and our sin, which God doesn't prevent. In wrath, remember mercy.